In this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how to hire and actually manage a sales team, or how I would specifically hire and manage a sales team. So let's get straight into it. So first things first, I want to emphasize how actually important a sales team is. They can either make or break your offer. We've had offers doing 40K a month, 50K a month. We bring in a really good closer and that takes it up to $70,000, $80,000 a month. Or we've had an offer that was doing $100,000, $80,000 a month. We changed around the setter because he wanted to go to a closer position. Anyways, got a new setter and it went all the way down to 40K in that month. So it really shows you how important a real sales team, and a good sales team at that, is to an actual offer. It can either make or break an offer. Okay. In terms of what an actual sales team is, it's obviously setters. So a setter would be someone either DMing someone or having just a conversation over the phone, obviously. And trying to get people booked in via DMs. That's like on Instagram, that might be on LinkedIn, school communities, WhatsApp, all these different types of places where they have to set someone before they book in a call. So that would be kind of considered a DM setter. Then in terms of closers are very simply, they just close deals. So whenever someone has already booked in a call, this specifically for a book a call funnel, they obviously just closing that deal. Okay. When it comes to dialers are people who phone people. So for example, if you have an offer or funnel where people opt in and then people, once they've opted in, they have to apply to the mentorship. If you're running something like that, you could kind of consider a free training funnel. Something like that, you would have a dialer in place to call all the leads that didn't actually apply, and try and recoup some leads from there. So, there's many different things dialers can do, but overall, just in simple terms, DM setters are people who message people before they book in. Closers are the people who take the calls once they book in. Dialers are people who just phone people to either get a call booked in or to confirm a call. So that's just in simple terms what these three people do, and generally what a sales team is made up of. Okay. Now, in terms of when should you actually hire a sales team? Okay. In terms of setters, honestly, setters are everywhere. You can find a setter who's willing to work on an offer that's not that great. To be honest with you, though, if you get a setter get a setter on an offer that's doing below, let's say 5 to 10K a month, you're probably not going to find a great setter. I'll be honest with you, but you will find a setter who's probably hungry. But they might not be the best, so that might be only a problem. But in terms of setters, you can hire one as soon as you start your offer. If you're doing 2K a month, 5K a month, 10K a month, whatever it may be, you can hire a setter ASAP. But the main thing is to actually have conversations flowing. So don't hire a setter and have nothing for them to do. Have a setter and have actual lead flow for them to actually conversate with people. So yeah, we don't really have any qualification process for setters. Generally, if we have an offer, we have a setter on that offer ASAP. If there's obviously conversation flow and stuff like that. Okay. In terms of dialers we only hire once we actually require them. So for example, we're running a free training funnel right now with a client, and that specific client needs a dialer. So we got a dialer on that offer. In actual terms, the setter and the dialer are doing the same job. It's just one person doing setting and dialing. That happens. That offer's not doing crazy amounts yet, and there's not crazy amounts of lead flow. So we can do that. We are very soon going to be hiring a new dialer or a new setter, depending on which the current setter and dialer tends to go with. He's either going to be doing setting or dialing. So we'll see where things go from there and that side of things. But to be honest with you, dialers you can also just hire as soon as possible. If you need them, you can hire them. They're similar to setters, like they're everywhere. It's not that hard to train them up. It's literally just following a script, so it's not very difficult. And that's in terms of actually getting calls booked in. If it's more of like a sales rep position where you've got more tough leads and they're actually like giving a bit of an objection to actually book a call, then obviously you're gonna have to find someone who's a bit better than just a general setter or anything like that. But in the general sense, setters and dialers aren't that hard to come by, so you can hire them ASAP. Just make sure you got the lead flow for them. Okay. In terms of closers, I only like to hire a closer once we're doing minimum 20K a month. That's kind of baseline I like to start with, just because anything below that, you're going to find a really crappy setter. I'll be honest with you. If you're doing 20K a month and you're hiring a closer, this is either their first offer. They either, it's a side hustle for them, whatever it may be. They're not going to be the most locked in person. They might take time to reply. They might miss some calls. They might not be actually that good at sales. So it's important to realize where you're at. If you want to hire a closer before then and you believe you can do 10, 20K in a month, 100% hire someone. But don't hire someone at 20K a month expecting them to be, the best sales rep ever. That's probably not going to happen. Just to be honest with you. So when we're at 20K a month, that's generally when I would hire someone. Either I'm doing the closing before that, or obviously the client would be doing the closing. It just depends on the situation. But in the general sense, get to 20K and then hire a closer. As I said, you don't want to hire someone too soon and get a really shitty sales rep, because they can, tank your offer, as we said in the beginning. Okay. In terms of how to actually hire a sales team, it's very simple. Okay. Ask around in your network, post hiring opportunities on your Instagram, that type of stuff. Okay. Message sales trainers and request some better rep. This is one of the easiest ways to do it. Just message 5 or 10 sales trainers and say, listen, I'm looking for XXXXX, send them like an offer doc, send them a few forms that setters, closers, dialers can apply to. And from there, you can just, hop on some calls with people. It's not too complicated. I honestly opt for the sales trainers and that side of things most often than not, just because, they've got a lot of people in their programs generally. So it's not that hard to come by a good sales rep. And the last one, in terms of hiring a sales agency, sometimes we do this. This is only if we are really struggling to actually find a sales rep for an offer. Sometimes we're very, very specific on what we're actually looking for. So sometimes, just posting on Instagram or doing these types of things is not super optimal. So actually paying someone to find that person for you is sometimes the best option for us. But with sales agencies, obviously you're paying, so it's anywhere from $500 to $2,000. That's the most I've ever paid for a sales rep. But you are going to get a quality sales rep, and you are probably going to get a sales rep that will perform on your offers. That's the biggest thing. So it's very important to understand where you are in your business. If you're looking for something very specific, go to the sales agency and say, listen, I'm looking for this. This is the exact requirements I need. And then they'll find you someone from there. But if you can just find someone and you're looking for a general sales rep, closer, whatever it may be, just post on your story, ask around your network, message some sales trainers, that type of stuff. Okay. In terms of pre-screening and how I actually hire sales reps, so it's very, very simple. Number one, we're going to get a form put together. So these are the questions we have on our form. It's either a type form or type form or a Google form. Very, very simple. Okay. So full name, contact info, Instagram handle, age, country, time availability. Are they working on any other offers? What offers have they worked on before? Cash collected per offer, and a Loom video for an introduction video. Okay. First things first, this is going to weed out the people you are not even going to speak to. So for example, if you have an offer that's in the US and someone is applying from either Asia or Australia, obviously you're not going to hop on a call with them. So that's why you always ask what country they're in or time zone, that type of stuff. If you're working on an offer that mainly sells to older people, why would you hire an 18-year-old as a sales rep? That's just not going to work in terms of the lead you're actually speaking to. So hiring someone older might be beneficial for the offer. Okay, it just depends on what you're actually looking for. Depending on time availability. If you're looking for a closer who can take 5 calls a day, but someone on the form says, I can only take 2 calls a day, then obviously you're not going to hop on a call with them. This is just going to save you a lot of time. And you can kind of take your pick from these people. Obviously, the Loom video is very, very good. I think it gives you a good feel of the sales rep before you even hop on the call with them. Gives you a feel for their energy, who they are, what they do, that type of stuff. But for the main basis, you're looking for, are they the right age? Are they from the right country? Can they speak good English? Do they have the correct time availability? Do they have the correct cash collected for, whatever you're looking for? Maybe you're looking for a closer that's done $1 million over the last 6 months, and you're not hiring anyone under that, so that's perfectly fine as well. It just depends on what you're looking for. Okay. Now, once we've actually gotten a good amount of responses on the actual form or type form, Google form or type form, from there, what we'll do is just nitpick a few people who we think are the best fit for the actual role. And from there, we'll obviously just hop on a call with them. The idea of this call is just get a feel for, first of all, the sales rep, who they are, what they do, who they are as a person. That's the biggest thing. I don't really like to dive deep into too many different things on this specific call. I just like to get a feel for them, okay, get an idea for their experience, what offers they've worked on, what they did on each offer, if they're a closer, what type of leads were they getting, what funnel were they running, all these different types of things about the actual offers they've worked on. What do they do for each offer, how many calls can they commit to per day, if obviously it's a sales rep, how many hours can you work, what are you currently doing for work, so either they're on an offer, they're working 9 to 5, whatever it may be, figure out what they're actually doing. And I also always like to kind of understand where they've come from. So, asking them why they got into sales, these different types of things is very, very important to me as well. Understanding their story builds a big connection with the sales rep and will get me to understand what type of person they are. But the main thing on this call is just to understand, can they speak good English? Do you think they'd be a fit for the role based on age, time commitment, all these different types of things? Are they working on any other offers? Making sure they're fit for the actual role. Just on those fronts, but also making sure they're a right fit for your actual offer. You don't want to hire someone who is not a team fit. That's the biggest thing. You want to have someone aligned to the team. I always like to hire sales reps I personally enjoy talking to. If I think you're a fucking nerd and I don't like you and I just, I don't like you as a person, I'm definitely not hiring you as a sales rep just because, that's my decision at the end of the day. But also I probably won't get along with them or the team won't get along with them. So that's the biggest thing. I always hire people I actually like. So make sure you're taking that into account. Don't just hire some bozo who you think could be good for the role. Hire someone you actually like and you enjoy speaking to, because that means they've got more of a culture fit in terms of the actual company and the offer you're working on. Okay. In terms of after this call, so for setters, closers, dialers, I always get a manager, depending on if they actually have, past experience. With setters, sometimes we, hire people who have no experience in the setting role. It's not that difficult, especially with setting and dialing. It is not that difficult. It's learning a script and learning how to talk to people pretty much. It's super, super easy. So with setters, if they don't, as I said, sometimes we hire people who do not have experience. But for the general sense, when someone says they have experience, what I'll do is I will get their past manager or offer owner's information, either that's phone number, Instagram, whatever it may be, and I'll get in contact with them. Okay, I always do this because sales reps are the most BS people you will ever speak to. Yeah, I do this every single sales rep I'm about to hire. I will message their sales manager, message their offer owner, whatever it may be. I'll get into contact with someone that's worked with them before and see if they're actually telling me the truth, because these people have obviously worked with them already, and I want to get a feel for, who are they as an actual person? Are they reliable? What's their attitude like? What was their performance? Why aren't they on that offer anymore? I want to get a feel for all these different types of things and get it from someone I can probably trust a bit more than someone obviously just trying to get on the offer, because they're probably going to bend a few things and make things look a bit better than they actually are. So I always like to get the realistic view on things and ask either an offer owner, sales manager, whatever it may be. In terms of closes, though, I always ask for sales call recordings. Okay. I've had a lot of calls with a lot of closes where I think they're a good fit for the offer. I say, cool, send over a call recording, and they cannot send over a call recording. If a closer cannot send over a call recording, they are lying out their ass. Either they're terrible at sales, they've never been on an offer, or they just have been lying to you the whole time. If you cannot provide 1 to 3 to 5 sales call recordings, I just don't know how you're a sales rep. Any good sales rep is actually going to watch their call recordings back. Okay, that's the first thing. Try and improve from those call recordings, see why they're closing, see why this deal closed, why this one didn't, those types of things. But also, if you've actually worked on an offer, 99% of offer managers or sales managers are going to actually watch those recordings. So I don't know in what world are you not recording your calls. They come up with some of the wildest excuses I've ever heard, but make sure you actually ask for a call recording to make sure these people are not bullshitting you, and get a real feel for how they are in an actual call. Because at the end of the day, for sales reps, especially for closers, what you're hiring for is skill. Personally, with closers, I don't like to train them up. I want someone who's already good at what they're doing, and I can just hire them. We can put them in the offer, and they're good, and we just manage them from there. I don't like to train up sales reps, especially when it comes to the closer side of things. With setters and setters and dialers, I generally will train people up. I don't mind that side of things because it's not a complicated thing to actually teach them. But with closers, it generally takes a good few months to actually get good at sales. That's why I prefer just hiring people who are a bit more experienced. Okay. Now, from this position, once you've kind of gathered more people who you think are a better fit, so from that first section of calls, you'll have that first call with like the first round of sales reps. From there, you'll pick maybe a few people from that specific round who you think are best fit for the role. And what you'll do on this call is just a few role plays. Get a feel for their actual skills, get a feel for a bunch of different things, who they are as a person. We've obviously spoken about that, but more importantly, skills. That's the biggest thing. You want to get an idea for the actual skills before you bring them onto the offer. One quick thing I like to do with setters is I will call them at any random time of the day. With setters, closers, or setters and dialers, you always have to be on your phone. You have to be someone who is always on your phone and always active. So I'll give them a call randomly throughout the day, see if they pick up. If they don't pick up, I know they're not dialed in. I know they're not locked in. If they do, perfect. Then I know they're locked in. I know they're on their phone. I know they, actually are serious about doing this. So that's the biggest thing there. It's not too complicated though. In terms of the second call, it's literally just a role play interview. You want to get a feel for the actual skills. This is more for the dialers and the setters and obviously the closers, but more so for the closers and that side of things. Test adaptability. I always like to put this on them. I never tell them and prepare them for the call. I just say, listen, we're hopping on another call. I've got a few more questions. And then from there, what I'll do is just say, listen, we're doing a role play. This is the offer. This is what we're going to be talking about. This is who I am as a lead. Sell me this offer. And I'll just go straight into it. I never like to give them context because I want to see, can they actually adapt? Can they actually, make shit up on the spot? That's a big part of being a sales rep, is lying to people. Okay. I don't care what you say. Sales reps lie to people. May it be a white lie, may it be lying about the whole offer, but you have to be able to fabricate things just a little bit as a sales rep. So that's one thing I like to see is, can they actually adapt to a situation? Okay, now in terms of actually onboarding a sales rep, it's very, very simple. Once you've hired them, you obviously get them on board. Okay, so we always get our sales reps to, fill out a form. So we'll get them to actually sign a agreement to say, this is what you're doing, this is who you're working for X%, these types of things, just for the legal side of things. From there, we're going to walk them through all of our platforms and tools. So may that be Zapier, Discord, Calendly, Instagram, all these different types of things. Get them access to every single platform they need, so you can get everything knocked out. You don't want a week later for your sales rep to say, oh, I need access to this, send me this. It's just not the most optimal thing. From the get-go, you want them to have access to everything. Second thing we do is walk them through all of our SOPs. This is one of the most important things when it comes to actually training and hiring sales reps, is your SOPs. Do you have a good setup structure of your SOPs? With our SOPs, we have everything in there from A to Z. It's literally a Bible for these sales reps. Anything they need, any question they have is pretty much in there. We go over any sort of scripts they need, any sort of resources they need, any sort of processes we follow. Everything is in there. So you always want to walk them through that so they understand that side of things. Okay. From there, we'll obviously explain our expectations clearly. I think it's very important as sales manager or offer manager to actually explain what your expectations are of that sales rep. And also tell them what is not expected of them. Set your standards and non-negotiables. You always want to set the frame, because if a sales rep is not answering the phone for 3 hours, or in the DMs you got a setter and they don't answer the phone for 5 hours on a Sunday, set the frame. If you've told them that's okay, then obviously they're going to do it. But if you've told them that's not okay and they still do it, obviously that's the problem. So you always want to set the frame to make sure that they're doing the right thing, because if they don't know what to not do, obviously they're going to do something wrong eventually. So you always want to set the frame on what to do, what you expect from them, and what they cannot do, what is non-negotiable, what is not allowed. So that's the biggest thing I always like to do. Make them understand that this is going to be a grind. That they're not just going to walk in and make a shit ton of money. They're actually going to have to work hard, and they're not going to make money if they don't work hard, and that's the biggest thing. Okay. As I said, set frames and standards and some non-negotiables. From there, what we'll do is get them ramped up on our training and ramp up process. So generally with our training process, it's 2 to 5 days. So from there, it's like heavy. We're having 2 to 3 calls every single day with them, trying to get them as prepared as possible to get them onto the offer. Generally, we'll train them up on the offer, what it is, how it works, all these different types of things. Get them to go through every single YouTube video, any long form piece of content, or any piece of content that specific client has to offer, so they can understand the offer a bit more in depth, and so they can understand the client. And from there, we'll get them to go through all the course material. The reason we do this is just because if they understand what we're actually selling, they're going to be able to sell it a bit better. So that's the biggest thing there, making sure they go through all those videos, all the courses, any long form content we have. And the biggest thing is just hopping on calls with them and doing role plays, and actually either for a closer, doing some role plays, for a setter, obviously doing some role plays in the DMs, or if you've got someone who, for example, book a call funnel, and once people book in, you make a group chat. You want to, obviously go with that process with your setter or your dialer, whoever may be doing it. So the biggest thing in this 2 to 5 day period is just getting them ramped up as quickly as possible. At this position, you want to get them to at least like a 60% like competency for the offer, and get them straight into the offer. You don't want to wait until they're at 90%, because realistically they are going to learn more by actually just doing the thing and making the mistakes than just reading an SOP or hopping on calls with you. So we always like to get our sales reps in as quickly as possible. We'll generally just give them obviously a brief on the offer, get them trained up on who the person is, all these different types of things, and then we'll just get them straight in. We'll try and fix our problems from there, because as I said, they're going to learn more by just doing the thing than rather just reading an SOP or actually just hopping on calls with me. So that's the biggest thing there. Now, in terms of our ramp up period, it's a 2-week period where we will be on top of the sales rep as much as possible. So this is honestly up to sales managers or offer owners or whatever it may be. This is up to you. And the reason I say that is because if a setter, closer, whatever it may be, after this 2-week period is not competent, that is your fault. And the reason I say that is because you are obviously not catching the problems quick enough, and you are obviously not bringing them up and fixing them quick enough. So in this 2-week period, generally what we do is we are on top of every single thing they do. So if it's a DM setter, we are reviewing every single conversation they have. Okay, no matter if there's 100, we are reviewing every single conversation. For the closers, we are reviewing every single call. For dialers, we are reviewing everything they do. The biggest thing in this 2-week period is to be on top of them as much as possible. They will make mistakes. It's okay, but it's up to you as sales manager or offer owner to actually bring that problem up and actually fix it. So that's the biggest thing, is let them make the mistakes, but fix them. That's the biggest thing. You need to be on top of them, because once they make a mistake, you need to fix it as quickly as possible. By the end of this 2-week period, they should be at least 90% competent about the offer, and they should be at least at like 90% effectiveness. If they're not, this is either your fault or they're just a bad sales rep and they're lazy. So whichever one it is, obviously, I think you're either going to have to fire them. If they're lazy, obviously just fire them. But the biggest thing is, like, they should be at around 80-90% by the end of the 2 weeks. If they're not, this is either your fault and you need to find, a new sales rep because you haven't done a good job, or obviously they're lazy and they just haven't put in the work, so you need to get rid of them. It just depends. So yeah. That's that. It's not too complicated. Why this 2-week period matters. At the end of the day, good reps will prove themselves. Bad reps will expose themselves. Culture is also set during this 2-week period, and standards are also enforced. So as I said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So make sure you're actually getting everything dialed in this 2-week period. And it also makes you, as an offer owner or sales manager, it makes your life way easier, just because at the end of the day, from there, once they're dialed in, you don't really have to do much. All you're doing is hopping on calls with them, reviewing a few calls every single day, honestly reviewing a few DMs where people book in, all these different types of things. But if you actually set the standard and do your job in the first 2 to 3 weeks of working with them, it's going to make your life a lot easier as a sales manager and as offer owner. So that's a big thing. If you got to the end of the video, I appreciate you. I hope you guys got some value from the video. There's going to be a link in my description right now for you guys to book a call if you're looking for help to scale your info product. And if you just want to ask me a few quick questions on Instagram, there's going to be a link in the description as well. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, hope you guys got some value from this video. See you soon.